mouse wheel.
Okay, so my name is Jason Free, if you don't know me already. I was the lead game designer on BiPolar game, as you saw in the trailer and as you've been seeing the gameplay of. So, what is BiPolar game? BiPolar game is a physics-based 2D platformer, as you've seen. Developed in 2010 by myself, Taj Danaj, who was our lead artist, Sasha Simonov, who was our group leader, and Tom Parry, who did the programming on the game. That was as part of the 2010 Game Studio class that ran across the year. And we were also lucky enough to get the most outstanding student group of third year studio that year, as you can see in this lovely photo. Now, following our development of the game, we were approached by a company called the Voxel Agents, who were an indie game company located near Flinders Street Station, to take the game further. As I'd taken once the game was mostly finished through development, when you go to a job interview, you showcase the work you've done. Game Studio gives you some of the best in terms of portfolio work you've got. So that scored me an interview, and they were interested in the game, and then we went into talks with them to take the game further. But unfortunately that didn't work out, but at least we got that meeting. Now, following that meeting, and that was in 2011 by the way, so following that meeting we were looking at, myself, I really felt that we had a great game behind us that had a lot of potential. One of the things I noticed in class through the development of the game is that many people were often coming over and wanting to have a play of it as we were developing it. That's always a sure sign that you've got a successful game on your hands, when everyone wants to play it all the time. So I thought, why the hell not? Why don't we try and sell this thing? Now, the majority of the people in the group were like, this is just a university project. We don't want to take the city further. And I was like, no, we've got something really good. We should at least try. So initially, we had the game up on Desura, which was a PC distribution service, and we had it on the Apple App Store, which it still is on the App Store to this day. You can get it for free on that one, actually. And the following year, when Steam Greenlight launched, when it was still free to put games forward for that, I put it forward for that, and there it sat for quite a while because you need a certain approval rating on the service. And originally I thought there's no way this is going to get up because it was sitting around 26% for a long time. Then I just didn't have a look at it for a while, and I came back a year later, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, it's approved, which was the most awesome thing ever. To finally have your own game up on Steam. So, once you, as you can see, to get onto Steam, you need to be approved via the Greenlight process if you're an indie game developer. And once approved, you just have these initial requirements to get onto the service: tax file number, bank account details, and some images that you need for the storefront. You need different images of different sizes. As you can see here, I could very quickly whip these up to get the game up on there. And other than that, you just need to work out a price, make a description of your game if you haven't thought of one already, and then think of any promotions you might want to do. If you want to run a 50% off or whatnot, those tend to run very well. I even run those to this day, and even now it gets a trickle of sales here and there. And that part pretty much tells itself. So this is what Steam expects from you in terms of responding to customers once you have this service online. That's completely up to you. So if you want to respond to customer feedback, questions, whatnot, that's your program. You can or you don't have to. So originally, as far as getting the game up for sale on services, when it was for the App Store and the Desura part of it, that was a group effort where we all got together and did an equal distribution of profits. But when it came to the Steam part of it, firstly, our lead programmer had passed away in January of this year, or prior to me finding out about us getting approved. And of the remaining people, they had always held the position this was just a uni assignment and nothing worth selling online. So they wanted no part of it. So I just took it all on board and just did it all myself. And so it's everything from the Steam side of it to 100% goes to myself. Besides the small 10% that goes to Steam. And Steam, by the way, offers one of the best as far as percentages. of income coming through. Like when it was from Desora, for example, they wouldn't even let you get any of the money until you had raised a certain amount first from sales. So, for example, when we were selling the service in the game on Desora, we got, I think it was 20 sales or something, you know. But they said that not until it was about $500 book profit or something like that they would, until that point, you wouldn't get anything. In comparison, the Apple App Store, that one was immediate. Any sales that come through, you get. On the Apple Store, we got, I think, between 50 and 60 sales on that. So 20 on Desora, and I think it's about 60 pure sales through Steam. And I also put the game forward through one of those bundling services. Because one of the things you'll notice, if you ever get a game up on Steam, all of a sudden you'll get spammed by all these different companies saying, oh, we have this bundle, we have this bundle, we have this bundle. Do you want to put your game forward for this? And I tried one of them, a company called Indigala, and tried it with that. And that one, I think, that was a significantly higher amount of sales. That was at least 2,500 or something. But your percentage of the money that you get in those instances is far less. Yeah, so the pros and cons of self-publishing. So myself, I went the self-publishing route. So the benefits of that is when you do get the sales, you're going to be getting a far greater percentage of the money that comes through. But the hardest part is then you got to get the game out there. You got to get people to know about it, interested in it, which is where things like that YouTube trailer come in handy, and just spamming Facebook groups and whatnot, internet forums. Whereas if you go with small publishers, the chances of there being a far greater marketing side of things is far greater, so you're looking at a much higher amount of sales, but then you're losing a certain amount. For an example, when we were in talks with Voxel agents, they said to us that they would handle the publishing side of it, and then we would only get 20% of the sales, like of all the money coming through. So they would get 80%. So that's something that you've got to juggle right there. Next one. Does anyone have any questions so far?
You said Steam took 10% of the. I thought it was 30%. Did they adjust that, or has it always been 10?
It was 10 when I went through. Well, that was in the conditions that were sent through.
I thought Steam was putting greater percentage on Steam from 70 and then they gave
The 30% you're thinking of is for when they tried to do the paid mods. And 30% is generally the standard. Google takes 30% if you go through the Play Store, and Apple does the same through the iOS Store.
And if you look up on the general fact that they've got up, they don't even give you a set percentage on that. It might be a case-by-case basis, but that was the percentage that was given to me. And that was one of the best ones that I've seen also. It's just the hardest one to get through to in the first place. Like I had it sitting up there for years before it got through.
After you did the bundle, did you notice any more like full sales coming through? Like
some
help to increase popularity or
some a trickle. Like the greatest amount that I got was when the game was first published on the service. See, what Steam does is they place your game on the front page of their store, and then that's until you have 1 million views, which might sound like a hell of a lot. What that is to gauge is like the level of public interest in your game. So this game, for example, got, I think it was they do a percentage based on clicks. So for the amount of people that click on it, how many people buy it. So ours was like 0.26%, but this is of the global population. You've got to remember. So to give you an example, when we were using Desora, which is a mainly Australian-based PC distribution service, that one we had 20 sales in the entire time, and we received 10 in the first day or two, and then that was it. In comparison to Steam, we had about roughly about 35 sales within that time, just with that 1 million views time period.
did you try other things like GOG or?
I tried GOG. It was declined on that.
Okay.
And I was just looking for other ones at the time, and then Steam. Then I got the approval from Steam, and then I was like, nah, I'm just going to Steam. Any other questions?
Do you regret that the one with the publisher didn't work out? Are you happier with Steam than you think would have been with a publisher?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, just having your own game on Steam in itself. You ever go to a job interview and they want to see your portfolio, you can just go on Steam, go play my game, go watch my trailer, you know, or if you're willing to, buy it and have a play, you know. So you got that side of it. For myself, getting into the games industry was something that I was passionate and still am about doing my entire life. I mean, I would give anything to work in the games industry. I don't know. Both are good in their own ways. I mean, I would absolutely love to work in the games industry. And that one, and something I should mention too, since you brought that up, through the talks we had with Voxel agents, they actually offered me a job through it. But that was to work on the game. The problem we had was that we had a lead artist and a project leader who both believed this was just an assignment and not worthy of continuing beyond Monash. And they said that in a board meeting in front of an actual games industry company, which really diminished our chances of getting through. Yeah, but one good thing that came, one sort of revenge moment for myself with all of that, through the development of the game, our project leader and programmer always pumped it hard that it was the coding that was the most important aspect of the game, not the design. But when we were sitting down with the voxel agents, they said they were only willing to employ myself because I knew the game back to front from a design standpoint. And we had our coders stand there and go, but I coded the game. I deserve, more money, and I deserve more of this. And they said, well, anyone can code a game engine, but it takes a true mind to, like a design artistic mind to come up with the general game design that comes behind it. Because if you look through the levels, which I'm going to show in a little bit, the general levels that go through it have many inspirations from many things. There's like pinball level, backgammon, many different things. Any other questions?
Having experienced both the just standalone sales and the bundle ones, given the pros and cons, would you still recommend doing the bundle sales?
Yes, because I got far more money from the bundle sales. Like even though if I had done 2,500 worth of pure sales, obviously, then that would be the one to go with. But you get greater market saturation when you go with the bundle sales. They do a lot of in some ways, the elements of the self-publishing. They advertise your game out there. The only thing is that they go with a pay what you want type model, as opposed to like the way I do it with Steam. So we sell it for roughly about $5 on Steam. They go, you just pay what you want. You want to pay 50 cents, you want to pay $1, and then we all get a very small percentage of that. But then it's like such a humongous amount of people in comparison that are taking it.
So it balances itself out.
Yeah. Cool. But I would say I got more money from individually from the bundles than I did from Steam itself. They're both as good in its own way. Any other questions?
In regards to
Maybe
in regards to the BiPolar game, was each level made with the level designer that I saw in the trailer? Or did you?
First, if I remember correctly, the first 10 levels were purely done on paper, like paper prototyping.
Yeah,
Yep. We've talked about that. So most of them were done in that way and hard coded into the actual game itself. Then we had the level editor, and then I just went crazy and then looked for inspirations elsewhere. Not all the levels in that are by myself. Some of them were done by other members of the team. I was always encouraging other people to join in and make levels because that's the best inspiration you have to take your design in completely different directions. Because you might have one way that you see the game, someone else might come in and design a level completely different, and then that goes to inspire you to go in completely different directions.
So do you mind if I just jump in there for
Yeah.
a second? When I did studio, we did the same thing. So when you get to studio, if you're already in it, even if you're not the designer, try and make it a practice in your group that everyone tries to design one level a week. It does help out a lot in the long run.
And simpler ideas behind games tend to work the best, in my opinion. Like, for example, BiPolar game has no story behind it, because it doesn't need one. Things like Tetris, chess, whatnot, do they need a story? No. So, that's part of why it works. You could just pick it up, play it. You don't need to know a story. You just go in and you just watch someone play it and you go like, that's how it works. Even without someone telling you about the magnetic polarities that go behind it, hence the name BiPolar, you can just watch someone play and you get a general gist for the way that the game works.
Well, we had someone playing it, and you didn't really
Oh, really?
know anything about it. I didn't tell him anything.
No.
No, went through blind.
And you saw he was okay way through.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. So yeah, so the things I learned from it was quite large. I mean, I might technically have been a game designer, but I also did some coding work. I coded in the original sound engine for the game, as well as putting in a custom text font library. Because the year that we were doing it, you had to design a game from scratch. So nothing, you weren't using any engines or anything. It was just, you put it all yourself. So we had the basic prototype of the game done by the end of the first semester, which by then, at that point in time, most groups at Monash, to my knowledge, were having that done by the end of the second semester, not the first. So we already had the HD after the first semester. We didn't even have to do anything after that point. But then we went off and did the YouTube video, we did the sounds and the music, and we greatly expanded the game, added more game elements, just because we wanted the game to be up here. You know, you had the HD here, we were aiming up here.
Can we see your favourite level? What was your favourite one? Don't say one button. Well, that's funny.
I love that one.
Yes, that's one I always think my mind.
That's not one of mine, that's one of Tom's levels.
No. That was sarcastic, that one. And I was excited as in the level itself is messing with your head.
I think it's brilliant, the way that it's designed.
One thing, I was Jason's teacher at the time.
And not Matt Butler as well.
Matt Butler. We give you a hard time, probably.
Jason.
The thing about this particular game is we were constantly pushing balance and looking at level design, simplicity, and
Was there a shortcut on the desktop?
a game where teachers the
BiPolar?
player
Yeah.
just through the way it's designed.
No, I need to turn Steam back
So
on.
start simple,
okay.
and we're pushing for quantity and of good designs. So rather than having 10 good levels, why not 20 or 50? I mean, and they actually stepped up and they went 150 in speaking total.
No, it wasn't that many.
So 150.
It was 50.
50 is that old? No, I'm telling people 150. But
It
quite
is.
a lot of good levels, and it's.
It's very much possible with the level editor that our programmer put together.
I mean, even with the level editor, it's not. If you turn out 100 levels and they're average, it's not very efficient.
And you can hear some of our music. That was something else that I learned. I'd never made a music tune in my life, but through the development of this, I just thought, what the hell? You know, to get the game to that greater level. And I've always been a fan of drum and bass style music.
What was the purpose of Box 2D and anything else?
It handled the physics side of it. That was Box 2D. And we used the SDL library for the sound. Everything else, to my memory, was completely simplified. And you asked what was my favourite level, so I'm just.
I'll show you one key first.
Oh, you want to see one key?
One key was they brought this level in and said, come to this level there, kind of go. And I was playing the different levels, and I started playing it, and I'm like, this is crazy. You can't beat this level. So they've thought one key.
Why do you think this level gets this name?
Oh, your capture program job is dying.
I can see that.
Alright.
Not just one key, you actually just hold it down at the start, and then you just go record it. So they, oh, look at this.
Probably now that I say that, I'm probably going to stop it.
Because there's like,
What the hell?
oh, this program is frame reading.
So,
I tried beating that without using the one key trick, and I'm just like, it's impossible. This is at the end. It's easy. Keep going. Anyway, look at this.
it is one of those most brilliant levels that's not done by myself. Just even going by the name, you know, at first you would be playing and going, oh no, there's got to be some trick to this. And then as soon as someone shows you to the first time, you're like, oh my god, that is just brilliant.
What's your favorite level?
My favorite level.
You see how many levels there are, and when they made their levels, Jason's team were playing them and evaluating them based on difficulty.
Yeah.
Looking at, they made specific levels to teach certain skills, but then they looked at the ones that they made, a whole bunch of random ones, and went, oh, these are the ones we really like.
What's that? What does that remind you of? Hence why it's called Keyboard.
There's not a one key one.
No, this one's actually got gameplay behind it. Meanwhile, I haven't played this game in ages.
I used to do that with the switch on with the switch.
Oh, I've never done it that way before. Come on. So you get the basic premise behind each of the levels. Guide your cube or whatever shape you choose to pick, because there are numerous different shapes that we went with in this game. We probably spent about a semester arguing over what the player shape should be.
Weeks.
Well, weeks. Huge, and it was like really intense arguments. And
Discussions and gameplay tests.
like really big arguments, but they usually, I would say, if you're not trying to kill each other while you're trying to make a game, then you're not doing it right, you know, because that's you know, passion that shows through. If you really believe in the game that you're doing, then you're going to argue passionately for it. So the cube you see is the end one that got the favorite votes for it, but there are different shapes that ended up being available for the added challenge in the options menu.
Team also was options, was it?
The what?
I thought you had to beat the game to get the options. I think we talked about that for a while.
I think that was like a possible thing, but it's still in there to this day.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he left because he had some secret keys as well to the Switch stuff.
There was I don't know if it's enabled in this one, but there's like debug keys to like jump forward in levels and things. And the level the music you're hearing right now is the first tune that I developed for the game. The way that Sony Acid works is they give you free sound loops every single week. They give you this massive zip of like, and so what I would do is I just start playing the loops, and then just listen to it, and then the song would sort of come to you. So this, I heard the, you know, and then started picturing it with a drum beat, and then you had the drum beat, and then it sort of slowly develops over time. And when I first started making music for this game, I think it took me about 2 weeks to make the first tune, because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And then with each one, it took less and less time, and then in the end, it was only taking about 2 hours. So, you know, because you get better and better and better. And by the way, if anyone wants to come up and play this while I'm talking, feel free.
We've only got a few more minutes.
Oh, okay.
You know, time. We don't take much of the class, or we'll get when I marked this, I actually played, I think, all the levels but the last one.
Oh, I should show the last.
Which,
I'll pull the debug
so
still in there.
at some of these levels, it was like, it took me hours to get through all of these. You get to play good.
Yeah.
What a trick.
Yes, please.
Is this the last one?
No.
Yeah, we did say it. That's the easier ones.
Yeah, so originally, until Derek said a bit to us about balancing the difficulty curve a bit more, the levels used to be a lot more all over the place and more based on themes. So you'll notice that some of the levels are heavily based on Earth-based gravity, and some of the others are more floating space kind of gravity type stuff.
Oh, you beat your level, you're the last one? I can't remember the name of it.
That's Tom's effing hard level.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we argued about whether that was an appropriate thing to do.
Yeah.
I like that you have like different levels of strong gravity. That was really cool.
Oh, so some levels you have zero gravity. So
Yes,
you
so-
start in space just floating, you have to use the polarity to get around the place. There's some have no gravity at all.
This is one of my favorites, by the way.
Oh, this is, I hated this one.
I was saying,
You go so you can move back and forth.
yeah, even though I'm dying in my own level. But I was saying to our through the continued design and development of the game, I was always pitching new game elements, and I said to our programmer in the second semester, well, we need to have, because we had switches which are tied in with like individual platforms, and I was saying, why can't we have a switch that applies to multiple platforms? And he said, if you want it, you can code it yourself. Or why don't you just put switches behind switches? So in the end, I was like, fine, well, I'm only the game designer, so I'll just put switches behind switches, and came up with this level, if I can get anywhere without dying.
So you can see the low growth, your timing's off.
Yeah, my timing is off.
You've got to do these in sleep.
I know, because it thinks very
I
well.
was going to say, it's probably not helping that my computer is not.
Come on. Basically, what happens is, I don't want to spoil that bit.
Well, it's all in the video.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, get it. Anyway, it does stuff based on that.
So it's split back and forth.
So that was me testing out. Like a lot of the levels were me just trialing different things, and then the levels sort of just sprung up around them. So this was me testing out multi-platform switches. When really,
The students in third year studio class who make a level editor are often the ones who end up with the best quality work because they can churn levels out really fast. The ones who have to hard code their level in, then they kind of do a level and then they don't have any flexibility to play with it or move things around. Because it's amazing how much even a few pixels, like forget like this, like moving a tripwire down a pixel or two makes a big difference in the difficulty. So you want to have a lot of flexibility in testing. Is this the last one?
yeah, this is the last one, and I'm telling you right now, I won't beat it, because this took me about 2.5 hours, I think, to beat it the first time. And I argued with our programmer for a long time after it that we needed checkpoints because it was so friggin' hard.
He could do it though.
He could do it. He even made a video of it. I didn't bring it here
I
today.
like the title of the level.
Yeah.
Well-
It gets its name. You can watch me die horribly in this one.
This is the only one I could not beat. Although by this point I'd been playing the game probably about 6-7 hours.
This is like Dark Souls kind of difficulty of this level. It'll have you just throwing your laptop at the wall.
Please don't try.
And I think you can get across. I think I could get across to the laser beam thing moving. But every time I got over there, it always kicked me back. Because you have to fall in exactly the right moment. You have to fall and have the trip beam kick you to the left
Yeah.
in order to go into that blue area. Which then you have to use the right timing to shove yourself to the right and go up. So I can get to the trip line, but I can never get the fall line. Got the answer to this crazy.
God damn it.
Getting closer. Alright, we have to wrap this up. And we're not actually 2.5 hours to watch this.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I wouldn't want to be playing this for that level for 2.5 hours anyway. It would give me a headache.
So thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you.
So today's topic is about self-publishing or working in the game industry. And you know what? This course is designed to train